Demonstrators worldwide protest George Floyd's death while in police custody in Minneapolis. Here in Maryland, protesters made their voices heard for a fifth day. Yesterday, crowds were in Columbia calling for change. In Annapolis, they took a knee for 8 minutes and 46 seconds, and symbolizing the amount of time the officer kneeled on Floyd's neck. Annapolis Police Chief Ed Jackson spoke with protesters before marching with them through downtown Annapolis. Protesters clashed with police in several U.S. cities last night, but there wasn't the level of looting and other destruction seen in previous nights. Michael George reports for WJZ with the latest from Minneapolis.
Officers in Charlotte, North Carolina used pepper spray on protesters after telling them to disperse. A peaceful protest in Portland, Oregon also escalated as the night wore on.
I saw a smoke grenade kicked within like 2 feet of us. So I went out and I tried to kick it back at the police officers. I saw about 10 more shot onto the street when we were all just standing there. And I continued to try to do the same thing. And I was smashed down to the ground by a police officer.
In New York City, police blocked protesters on the Manhattan Bridge who had defied the city's 8 p.m. curfew. There were some arrests, but there wasn't the amount of looting and violence seen in previous nights. Earlier in the day, there were peaceful protests throughout New York City. And in George Floyd's hometown of Houston, an estimated crowd of 60,000 held a moment of silence. St. Louis is also in mourning for retired police captain David Dorn, who was shot and killed early Tuesday during a looting at a pawn shop.
This is just so senseless. And I'm tired of it. I'm tired.
Here in Minneapolis, this site where George Floyd lost his life has become a growing memorial to his life. It's manned by volunteers 24/7, and last night they raced to protect the flowers and cards from the rain. Many say the city needs to make this spot a permanent memorial.
Sometimes things happen in a moment, and then we move on. But this needs to be a monument that's forever changed. Who we are and what we do.
A memorial service for Floyd is planned for tomorrow. Michael George, CBS News, Minneapolis.
And of course, stay with WJZ for the latest on the death of George Floyd. We'll follow the developments in the case and the impact as protesters march across the country.